This training will cover the deployment and staging instructions for the City of Taylorsville CERT Program. Now, the instructions that we will cover here apply only to participants in the Taylorsville CERT Program and do not necessarily reflect the policies or procedures of any other jurisdiction. To find out the deployment and staging process for your local program, contact the agency that sponsors it. If you remember when you went through your initial training course, you were taught that when an incident occurs, your first priority is your own safety and the well-being of your family. Once you've made sure that they are safe, then you are to report to the designated staging area to check in and receive your assignment. The location of that staging area can change depending on the incident, and we'll cover that a little bit more in just a second. As a reminder, when CERT teams are needed to assist in their response to an incident, they are activated by their sponsoring agency. All CERT teams, regardless of their location, are under the direction and authority of a government entity. While we welcome their involvement, no community group, church, or other organization is able to organize, sponsor, deploy, or direct CERT teams. When a response from CERT volunteers is required, they will receive word from their sponsoring agency with instructions for their deployment. They are to check on the safety of their families and home, collect their disaster supplies and personal protective equipment, or PPE, and report to their staging area. In most circumstances, that will be identified in the deployment notification. Upon arrival, volunteers are to check in and receive their instructions, then they will receive an assignment. No CERT volunteer should begin working without previously making contact with the incident commander and receiving an assignment. On very rare occasion and under extreme circumstances, Taylorsville CERT volunteers may self-activate, organize, and deploy teams. Taylorsville CERT may self-activate when an incident is unpredicted, large in scale, and severe in nature, and traditional means of communication are unavailable. Remember that all three criteria must be met before self-activating. You will note that these circumstances are very extreme. These requirements were designed so that CERT personnel self-activate only in an extreme event like a catastrophic earthquake. Please note the clarification, catastrophic, and not just earthquake. It's probable that a 5.0 magnitude earthquake will not meet all the criteria as the communications infrastructure should withstand the shaking. Let's review a couple of scenarios to make sure that we're certain of when we would activate as CERT personnel. If you witness a car accident, you would not be within the scope of your training to assist in the name of CERT. Professional responders will arrive and address the needs of the incident, and CERT will not be a resource that is requested. A storm swells a canal in the city and overflows into several homes. This may be a circumstance when CERT volunteers could be utilized. However, they are only to respond if requested to do so by the city officials. A 7.0 earthquake in the Salt Lake Valley is predicted to be one of the most severe disasters ever to occur in the United States. It will greatly impact everyone in the valley and will cause a terrible loss of life and damage to all types of infrastructure. Worst of all, there is no means of predicting it. This would qualify as a time that CERT personnel would self-activate and deploy. I want to cover the locations of the various staging areas where CERT personnel are to report and the way that information will flow to and from the City Emergency Coordination Center. You can see a map of Taylorsville here. To make this understandable to the individual CERT responder, let's start on the street level. Let's say that this is the home of one of our CERT volunteers. He lives on Ginger Street at approximately 3,000 West and 6,000 South. Each volunteer is part of what we call a neighborhood. This boundary that you see here is one of our volunteers' neighborhoods. All CERT volunteers in a given neighborhood report to a staging area. You can see those boundaries as indicated in the darker blue area. There are approximately 3 staging areas within each CERT zone. You can see this CERT zone as indicated by these boundaries. All zones report to one CERT division. Everything you see in the shade of blue is within one CERT division. As indicated by the four colors, there are 4 CERT divisions within the city. They communicate directly with the CERT leadership that would be responding out of the City Emergency Coordination Center. To facilitate communication and organization efforts, they are named after a feature familiar to that area. Blue is known as Westbrook, green is Valley Regional, yellow is Meadowbrook, and red is known as Benyon. This map shows the boundaries of all of the staging area boundaries within the city limits. This map is available to everyone online at the city's website by following this path. Visit www.taylorsvilleut.gov and click on Government, followed by Emergency Preparedness. There you will find a tab called Current CERT Volunteers. By clicking on the map, you are able to find your home and your nearest staging area. Please take the time to identify the different routes to this location, as your primary way may be blocked by debris. By clicking on each individual staging area location, you'll be notified of its name, the division it fits in, the zone, and the name of that staging area, as well as the address. If you have any questions that have come up through the course of this training, please feel free to contact me at the information you see here. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this training, and thank you for your participation in our emergency preparedness program.